Okay, so it's I'm just going to do a quick roundup because I had a migraine yesterday and it knocked me out. I'm exhausted. That's how it is sometimes, and I just need to rest and stay out the light. So apologies. However, I wanted to do a recap and see where we're at. So, as some of you will know, I have a little shop where I sell STLs, masks, that sort of thing. Also t-shirts. T-shirts aren't doing very well, but it's not really the primary thing. There's a lot of free downloads. And it's mainly been resin stuff. I've been thinking about FDM for a while, and I got a refund on a product that I pre-ordered because I couldn't afford it, basically. And just so happened at the same time there was a sale on Bamboo Labs for their A1, and I like the size of it for making masks. I've recently discovered how to make molds, so my thinking was, well, if I can make masks that fit on that plate, which is roughly up to the size that I build at, I don't really build any bigger, then I can make a mold, and then I can cast out some more environmentally friendly materials from that. So, and I think I need to get a bit more well-rounded in 3D printing. I want to dive into FDM print because there's sometimes with resin, I want to print something, especially if it's something functional. I'm like, oh, do I want to go through the hassle of resin printing? It's a smaller plate, lovely detail and everything, but it's also sometimes it's just like, I've got to wash it and dry it and cure it, and the chemicals. And there are some days where I just cannot be asked powering up the extractor fan and going through that process. And I'm hoping that with the FDM printer, because you can just pop the print straight off the bed, and it's going to encourage me to make more functional products. Plus the fact that a lot of people have FDM printers for printing cosplay stuff, and my stuff, as I've just discovered yesterday, is not well optimized for FDM printing, so that might actually have something to do with why the masks are not downloading in as much as I would like them to. I've gone to do some experiments because the high detail of the mask is not really suitable for FDM printing. It's just a different way of working. Like, I can print stuff on my resin printer that's made of different bits and pieces stuck together, but some of the masks are just causing problems with the FDM slicer, with bamboo slicer. So it's going to be a long process learning how that works. But I think fundamentally it will open me up to other things like making illuminated wall mounts. I can print a whole head now, or a bust at a larger size than I can in resin. Sure, the detail won't be as good, but actually doing a few test prints is not far off. It's not bad, and it's very strong. A lot less dicking around, and it's just a different process. I want to understand that more. Maybe make some more functional prints as well, because I find doing that sort of thing, and I don't do as much as I would do in resin, just because of the hassle of resin. Now, I love resin for printing miniatures, and the detail does not compare, but yeah, as I say, some days you just don't want the hassle. So we'll see. I've got two printers now. I've got two different types, so what it means, like, I can tweak my product to both FDM and resin, expanding the places I can send my stuff, and the people that giving more opportunity for more people to download my stuff. Because bamboo stuff's very interesting. Also, the other thing that I can't do in resin is printing colour, which I'm very intrigued about. I've done some 3D prints and they're really cool. So I can do full colour prints on this, four colour prints on the 3D printer. It doesn't have to be I've been experimenting with textures as well, using gloss and matte finishes and seeing how that looks as well, and that's really interesting. So you can create kind of like the original PlayStation. We had that shiny bit at the top and the rest of it was matte. You can do that, you know, have a black object with different textures. Now that's interesting. So a lot of experimentation to go with that. Long way before being anyway proficient with it at all. Early days. I mean, if you check out sorry, it's the problem with the migraine is that it sort of makes me drowsy and my brain hard to function sometimes, even in the aftermath. Anyhow, let's just move on. Yeah, that's basically that's where we're at. T-shirts aren't doing so good. I think one of the problems I found with my t-shirts is that sometimes maybe it's just a supplier, but a lot of the colours on one I'm printing are not always available, and that might put people off. I'm not getting any feedback, a lot of feedback about the t-shirts. T-shirts had a bit of a spike and have gone down, so maybe not enough, maybe not focused enough. Certainly haven't put more focused on getting the animation channel up and running and the vlog separated and redesigning the website. And also this week a number of job opportunities arose and vacancies appeared, so I had to get my CV sent off for that. And as I was doing that, I realised there were ways I could make my CV better, which I did, and I'm much more presentable now. And also trying to work out the way to get more people on my mailing list and make sure the mailing list works. Now, mailing list and the membership is locked and it works. Now, what I've got to do is figure out the mechanics a little bit better. I've got a lot of stuff on, and I've got to make sure I don't overwork myself. The having an animation every 2 weeks. I missed my first time I missed a deadline yesterday because I felt the migraine coming on and I kind of ignored it. But I also had a problem with my printer, and I had some work. I just had to get on with the work and get it delivered. I couldn't not deliver on the work, you know. So I had to put a pin in my animation, which kind of sucks. Partly my fault, because I actually had animation lined up as backup in case I couldn't meet the deadlines, but very early on I uploaded everything just to sort of content on my website, my channel, basically sort of beef it up a little bit. Didn't have anything in reserve, so that was a bit of a problem. And every 2 weeks is actually, I thought every week would be fine actually, but every 2 weeks is actually quite a pressure of a deadline, especially if I want to get something good. The problem I had with my animation was that I've been working on like 2 or 3 animations side by side, which slows the process down, but unfortunately I have to work that way because I'm not sure which one's going to work. And the one I got almost finished, ultimately I wasn't happy with it. I wasn't happy with the quality. I wasn't happy with the animation. I didn't think it was indicative. I didn't think it was very funny. Like, it was funny to me initially, and it might be that I spent too much time with it now, but I sat down and looked at it and I just thought it was mean. There's a sort of spitefulness to it as well, and I'm quite rude and snarky, but I don't think I'm not. I don't want to be mean, you know. I don't want my cartoons to be mean and spiteful, you know. Yeah, they're going to be rude and they're going to have bad language and talk about poo, and you know, some of them are going to be fine, but I don't want any of them to have, like, I've noticed, especially lately, like analysing my work, that I watch stuff that or read stuff that I really enjoyed as a younger person, and some things are just like hopelessly cynical, and I'm not a hopelessly cynical person. There's a lot of cynicism in my work, but it's not hopeless. I am actually quite optimistic. The cynicism that appears in my work, especially my writing work, is not there isn't it's not there just to sort of throw dark shade on everything and think the world is terrible, because I've lived long enough now to realize that it's like we take 2 steps forward but we take 3 steps back constantly as a species, and it's hard sometimes, especially with the internet and rage baiting and everything. It's very hard to stay positive, and I don't want to contribute to that negativity anymore, because actually the world is getting better in most ways that count, but it's also getting terrible in other ways as well, and that's what happens with humanity. And this idea that we're going to be an aligned species in 100 years, 200 years, or even 300 in Star Trek's case, I think is patently ridiculous. I think it's going to take thousands of years for us to evolve to a state to get rid of some of these animalistic qualities that we have. But I'm hopeful that it will happen. And I'm also hopeful that it doesn't matter. The more people I meet from more cultures and more parts of the world, I realize I get more hopeful, because basically it's just a small number of people fucking up for the rest of us, and we're gradually winning. The good guys are winning. It's just a slow, laborious process, and it just takes time. And I found with my animations, sorry to go around the houses, but I found with the animation I was doing, it was just a bit mean, and I don't want to put that out. I was not happy with it. Also, I could feel the migraine coming on, and maybe that's why it was mean. Is that when I get a migraine, I get it snippy. I get my brain changes to the point that it's very hard to focus. And best thing that I can do is take some mic relief, lie in bed, pull the covers over my head, and just rest it out, sleep it out, because I'm not going to be good at anything. So that's what I did, and in the midst of that, I fixed the printer problem, which is ridiculous because it should have been the first thing I checked. Because when I sat and thought about it, I was like, well, hang on. The only thing that's really changed is the software. I update the software. But I went on the forums. I chatted with a lot of people. I read a lot of messages about what was happening was that my colors were all shifted. They were non-aligned, and the previous day everything was working fine. I woke up and I started printing and nothing would align, and there were many solutions offered and all of them were wrong. And it's the thing about the internet I absolutely despise, but they're helpful comments, but they were wrong. Not one person suggested the obvious, including me, and I should know better because I've worked with IT systems for a long time and support systems, and I'm not a noob to computer systems. And the first thing is switch it on and off, which I did technically, and the second thing is, did you install an update? And yeah, I did, and that was the last thing I checked. But what was good, it taught me how to realign and tighten the important components in the A1 Mini. So I kind of got trained in something, reset everything to factory settings, including the slicer software, which was probably good anyway because I've been dicking around not knowing what I was doing. At least now it's set to the factory settings, and I'm going to be a bit more cautious in how, because now I understand how the operating system works a little bit better. And some of the menu systems in Bamboo Slicer are a bit weird. It's almost as if it's been written by a Chinese person. Bamboo's written by. I don't know if the software is or not. Anyhow, it's a Chinese company, is what I'm saying. So there's going to be cultural differences and different ways of thinking. Like not putting OK buttons on some windows, and yet continue buttons on others. And so, yeah, there's one thing in the Bamboo slicer I find really weird. It's like when you change the like. There's a place where there's 3 or 4 places in the Bamboo slicer where you can change filament settings, and in one of them it doesn't have an OK button or a continue button. You select what you want, and then there's no button to go forward. You have to just close the window, and sometimes it updates the slicer settings, and sometimes it doesn't. And there's a few windows knocking around like they just haven't been finished, which is kind of weird. And sometimes eSun PLA turns up, not the plus, the ordinary PLA turns up, and sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes it only turns up in one place and not the other place. And sometimes it only turns up in the slicer, but not the Bamboo printer itself. Most times it doesn't turn up in the Bamboo printer, so it's still a bit glitchy. And as I understand, it's built on Prusa slicer, and Bamboo have built their own layer on top of it, so it might be like compounding issues. But yeah. Anyway, that's a long ramble. That's where we're at. I still need to have a moment and just sort out this migraine. Anyhow, that's where we're at. That's the vlog for the day. I didn't post much this week. Check out my shorts, because my shorts have like a blow-by-blow of me on the first and second day of the Bamboo printer, the problems I encountered, the things I like, and I did do sort of like an unboxing assembling video. I was going to do a review video. There's so many out there, I don't think I really need to. Maybe at some point I'll sit down and edit it together. And yeah, I've got some old interviews that I started having a look at that were done during university and used for my documentaries or my video essays. And I want to release those. I just need to go through them one more time, make sure to tie them up a little bit, because I was asking specific questions. As long form interviews, I don't think they really work, because I was after specific nuggets of information for the video essay rather than doing a whole interview. So they don't feel cohesive as an interview, as a long form interview, but going through it has made me think, you know what, I miss that. I miss doing the video essays, which I don't really have time for, but I did like doing the interviews, because that was interesting to chat with creatives in the industry, and I made some friends and acquaintances and colleagues and contacts in the industry that I'd like to see where they're at, and chat to them some more and share experiences, especially with what's going on in the games industry at the moment with all the layoffs. Pardon me. And the update on AI. When I did the video essays, we only touched on AI a tiny little bit, and it generative picture AI was a very recent new thing that was being discussed, and now it's just got crazy out of hand. So some of the opinions may have changed. I know some of the opinions have definitely changed since the early days, or become more nuanced, I should say. But yeah, anyhow, now I need to relax. Ciao for now. Check out the videos. Cool. And I'll be back on it soon. Bye for now.